Okay, so let's start off with the Bears draft. Obviously, the first pick, Justin Fields. This was crazy, man. This was crazy watching it, and us Bears fans just need to be so happy with this. I mean, the fact, so much needed to happen for this scenario to occur for the Bears, right? He had to not be taken with any of the top 3 picks, which obviously the number 1 pick, it didn't really seem like he was ever in the running for. Maybe he was with Urban Meyer or whatever, but I don't know. Okay, secondly, the Jets needed to pick Zach Wilson, which they obviously did, and the 49ers needed to pass up on him for Trey Lance, which, by the way, we can talk about that in a minute as well. But listen, Trey Lance trading up 3 first-round picks for him to go up like not that much. That's a lot for Trey Lance. But again, we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But with Justin Fields, then the Lions, the Panthers, both teams that need quarterbacks, the Eagles, and I'm trying to think who else. Anyways, all of them needed to pass up on a quarterback, which is insane to think about. I mean, if Justin Fields ends up being good, the Lions are going to be kicking themselves in the feet. They're gonna be pissed. They missed out on. They need a quarterback. All these teams need a quarterback, but they didn't draft one. So, I mean, and then the Bears, obviously, dude, when we saw, obviously we were on the phone together when we were watching it. And when the Giants, it said pick traded, in my head, I was just like, okay, whoever this is picking Fields. So, like, I was a little freaking out, but then I was like, okay. And then I saw the Bears and I was like, yes, dude. Like, I don't know if there's any other pick that would have given me more faith in this franchise than Justin Fields.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's really not. I think I texted you on like day 2 of the draft, and there's some kind of later round picks that maybe weren't so great. But I was like, man, this podcast kind of sucked because we're gonna have to say it. They really did all the right moves here. There's really not much critique that we can give on this pick. I think that it was a great value at 11 to get someone like Fields. Whereas, to kind of get a little bit with the 49ers, I don't want to talk too much about Trey Lance because obviously we don't have him, and I think I anticipate him coming off the board earlier as well with that 49ers pick. Mm-hmm. I think he's got very good potential. A lot of people are saying it's kind of like a little bit of a Trubisky move up. I'm a little bit more certain on Trey Lance than I am Trubisky. I think he can definitely do better, but I can definitely see where the parallels of that move come up. But the Bears definitely take a little bit of the, not necessarily the safer option, but the lot better value option with Justin Fields. And they're getting someone that, you said it so many times, Austin, great deep ball. Overall, pretty good at reading the field, I'd say. I know people think this one is a little slow to get on with it, but I think that the Bears can definitely work with him to speed up that process. And also just by kind of predicting, or by having more, play calls and a playbook that, suits to getting the ball out of his arm a little bit quicker. And ultimately someone that's mobile too, right? I mean, I think that, really I got this, like, finally we can run the RPO with some real confidence here. And know that he can make the right read, something he's very familiar, very well versed doing, something he did consistently at Ohio State. You really just can't not like the pick. I mean, is Fields a flawless player? By no means, but is he, looking like he has a lot of potential? Yes. Is he looking like he could, really help turn the corner for this organization as far as providing stability at quarterback? I think so. I think a lot more confident than we've really ever felt about that. So I think that's definitely something that Bears fans have to be extremely excited about. Even if he's not starting day 1, week 1 as the starter, I think that we'll probably get to see him at least at some point this year. And it's something that we just have to be more excited for the future too. I mean, even if he has a little bit rough of a first year getting acclimated, I do believe in him and do believe in his ability to be a strong NFL quarterback. I think that I hate doing comparisons because it's kind of like the plague of like today's draft. Like, we're comparing everyone with everyone all the time. Yeah. No one can even ever be their own player. But I think, as far as someone in the league that he could potentially have a trajectory of, and maybe this does kind of make a little bit of a argument for him being a day 1 starter, is someone like Deshaun Watson. We've talked about it before, right? I think he has a lot of similar characteristics that, make his game similar, and it played out very similar in college. Just a perennial winner, always playing in the biggest games on the biggest stages.
Yeah, no, Deshaun Watson is a good comparison. I think that Justin does a little bit better of a job. Okay, I think that Justin is a better athlete than Deshaun, and I think he has a bigger arm than Deshaun, and just like a bigger built dude. Even though Deshaun is a great athlete, let's be honest here. You know, I'm not saying Deshaun's a bad athlete by any means, but I think Justin is like a little bit upgraded in those regards. Doesn't mean that's going to play out in the same way, but he had a lot of the similar critiques that Deshaun had coming out, so it's easy to make that comparison. I think that just because of how deadly his deep ball is and how much arm strength he has, it's almost like he's kind of in the middle between like a Deshaun Watson and a Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes has a little bit more arm strength than Justin Fields, but Justin Fields, I've seen him make many 70+ yard throws. Like even in the Clemson game, he had a couple 70+ yard throws, which is insane. You know, that's insane arm strength. So I think that's really what's really attractive about Justin Fields is just how accurate and how deadly he is with that deep ball, and how much that's going to help with Darnell Mooney. I think one of the biggest winners in this draft is Darnell Mooney and Bears wide receivers. You know, if Allen Robinson wants to try to make a Hall of Fame anything, like at least be in the running for it, he needed to get a good quarterback, and Justin Fields is, you know, I don't want to seem like, you know, a homer, but I think I feel more confident in Justin Fields being a franchise quarterback than I do with even Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, because with Zach Wilson, there's a little bit of projection because you have to project, you know, what type of talent he was going against at BYU. You know, a lot of the teams he had to go against was like Coastal Carolina, where Justin Fields was really playing against defenses that were very complex and also at the top of the NFL. And then with Trey Lance, it's just a huge projection. I think that the 49ers, I like Trey Lance. I think that when on our episode, we had a conversation of who would we rather have, you know, Trey Lance or Justin Fields. I think you said Trey Lance, and I think I said Justin Fields, if I remember correctly. And obviously in the draft order, you were correct with that. But I just have to say that the 49ers, I mean, the balls on that organization, man, they really like to take Trey Lance that high, especially with Justin Fields. That's pretty insane to me. And the other thing that I want to mention before I pass it over to you, Reese, Justin Fields, the most underrated part of his game is how mentally strong and how like intelligent he is. So listen, I thought this was incredibly fascinating. There's this sports psychologist who essentially has these aptitude tests that they've given to like 10,000 professional athletes, and they do it to quarterbacks every single year. Justin Fields scored the highest ever on that test. He scored a 130. Patrick Mahomes was apparently a 108. And over 100 is considered good, but Justin Fields' highest score ever. And another little tidbit is apparently in the pre-draft process, very early on, Matt Nagy talked with Justin Fields about line checks that the team requires. And then he talked with Justin Fields again a couple months later, and he remembered all of the line checks, which is just insane to me. All right, guys, really quickly before we continue with the show, we have to let you know that this podcast is supported by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and they obsess over their technology developments. They're trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and we have an exclusive offer code for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping using code BEARNECESSITIES, no space, at manscaped.com. Manscaped sent both Reese and I over a bunch of their tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0. And guys, Manscaped is a great company. They wanted us to wait until we try the products to give you guys our honest opinion, and it is a very good product. They have no-nick technology and a little LED light, which helps you get the job done a little bit easier. Both Reese and I have really enjoyed the Lawnmower 3.0 so far, and we're looking forward to trying a lot of their other products. The underwear that they sent us in the box too has been spectacular, and if you guys are into athletics or, you know, go to the gym frequently, highly recommend those as well. And guys, really quickly, if you use the same razor on your face as below the waist, guys, that's a little bit nasty. Try to pick up something specifically engineered for that below the waist region with the Lawnmower 3.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BareNecessities at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping using code BareNecessities at manscaped.com. Make sure you check how to spell that in the description. That's going to support the podcast tremendously. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Yeah, no, he's a very strong mental player. I really do believe in his ability to succeed in the NFL. And I think almost in retrospect, I am happy that they took Fields over Lance, even if I said Lance, prior. I am happy about that. And, from someone that's not a homer, I mean, then, I think that should really carry through and show how much I believe in his ability to perform in the NFL. With that being said, I did think of a critique for the Bears in this draft, and we'll get to it as we get further down the draft order. I don't understand how you get someone like Justin Fields and you don't give him a big target to throw the ball downfield to. Allen Robinson's your biggest rangy receiver. Like, okay, Allen Robinson's great. That's great. I'm glad that he's going to have that connection, but like, come on. Now we're saying, okay, Fields, go pick out Mooney deep down the field. Like, it's just, why are we always playing these odd numbers games? And I understand that, the big jump ball receiver thing was maybe a trend like earlier in the late 2000s into like early 2010s. And now we've kind of gotten back down in some more like shifty and smaller wide receivers. But the Bears really they love picking like 5'10" wide receivers. And I get it. And there's definite value in there, and working the slot and using the width of the field has been more important than it ever has in the NFL. But the Bears just always lose touch of the vertical game. I don't understand it.
Next, you're going to tell me that we need to add a big bruising back like Jordan Howard to the team.
I think so, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, though, especially with guys like Sage Surratt, who are like falling all the way to the 6th. He might have went undrafted, really big wide receiver. I think that would have been really good. I think I am happy that they prioritized offensive line. As I think that
absolutely
really listen guys, I don't think that this Bears team it's definitely not going to be ready this year. Like, we got to be honest here. We need to give Justin Fields enough time. He might play a little bit at the end, but we're not going to be going to the Super Bowl this year. That's just how it works with rookie quarterbacks. We have a really young team, really, really young team. And that's just not really what's going to happen.